Welcome everybody to another fantastic episode of Prepper Talk Radio. We are radio for the ready-minded, and today I'm joined with Paris and Shane as usual from our interesting locations. That's where I'll leave it at. But today's show is brought to you by Fortress Clothing. Surprise, surprise, they still have the amazing promotion going on until June 1st. So head over preppertalkradio.com, click on the link to Fortress Clothing, use the code PREPPER to get 20% off, which is huge. They don't do that big a sale ever. They'll usually give you $10 off or 10% off sometimes, but man, I love their gear. It's fantastic for all of your cold weather gear. If you have a hard time regulating your core temperature just in general, they've got stuff you can wear year round. So go check it out, Fortress Clothing, on our gear page, preppertalkradio.com. And with that, we're going to jump into today's topic, which for Shane is like a kid on Christmas. Like, this is one of his favorite topics. We've covered this a lot of times, but it's so pertinent because it's ever changing. Always, I wouldn't say always evolving, but there's so many factors that go into this. We're talking precious metals, gold and silver. And with that, I'm like, I just kind of gonna shove the whole like casserole into the pan and cook it and just hand it off to you, Shane, because this is your wheelhouse.
You can hand it off to me, huh? You just get,
here is the baton as I slide away.
You know, I'm happy to take that particular baton. But right. Something I wanted to talk to you guys about before we started. I think there's a lot of listeners who may want to hear us talk about the topics of the day. There are things that can get us, banned from YouTube and whatever that we try to avoid. But mainly, I just want everybody to know that we are aware of those things. We have our opinions on those items, and we can mention them briefly here. I know we want to really try and limit this, but don't think that we're not aware to what's going on every single day, all around us, all the hot topics. I think each one of us are very aware of what's going on, from the latest thing, the monkeypox, this WHO treaty coming up in a couple of weeks, Bill Gates, maybe I shouldn't say his name, is coming up with a breast milk substitute. There's all this C19 in all these chickens that are being culled all through the country, the drought in the West, the floods in the Midwest, China's and all the financial problems, of course, the war in Ukraine, the pending diesel shortage, inflation, especially
current diesel shortage,
and even and the thing is, out west here, we don't seem to see it as much as it seems like the Midwest or the East does, with the food shortages and the other shortages and such. So we want to hear from you guys. We just don't see it as much out here, at least not yet, for some reason. I don't know why. But the dangers of 5G, all the rationing that's going on in Iran, they're starting to use digital IDs. I mean, could very well be the mark of the beast. So we are aware of these things, right? Just wanted to briefly touch on them to make sure that that we know about these things. And if you want to hear more about it, maybe we do something, I don't know, off air. We have some kind of chat where we can talk more in detail about these things, so we don't get strikes on our channel.
We could do a private in our Facebook group. We could go live, all three of us go live and do a group live and really dig into it, I think, which would be fantastic. Those are topics I love to talk about. You mentioned the diesel shortages. There's the formula shortages. We're having egg shortages, chicken shortages. Everything's being created right now to be shortages on purpose. It's all by design. World Economic Forum is pushing their agendas. The WHO, not to be confused with the Doors or any other music group, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Don't ban me for that. They're just hell bent on corrupting every good facet of life to create.
They are
their world, not a one world for everybody, but their world government, their world performance. Their control schemes, so that we, the people, the world, are under their scrutiny and under their boot.
Another big one you told me about, Scott, just the other day was that Australia is banning the opportunity to have gardens. We can't even grow food. I mean, our last two podcasts or 3 fantastic information about gardening and what to do there and how to be self-reliant there. And a whole country potentially banning that. You can't even grow food in your own garden and your own property. Wait, what? Like, where are we?
Yeah.
This world's going crazy.
Obviously nefarious. And I saw a meme that's been floating around, and maybe you guys have seen it too. It shows, it's cartoonish, right? It's cartoon. It shows the fires of hell. 2 guys standing there. One says, "Are we in hell?" The other guy says, "No, this is the new normal." And it's the perfect. I don't know. Have you guys seen that one? No, this is the new normal. So we are in this new normal. Just do not call it the new normal, because it is not normal. It is nefarious, and we need to continue to prepare. And that's why we talk about these different topics and not necessarily get into the fear mongering, but it's not. When it's truth and it's fact, it's not fear mongering, right? And there are plenty of places you can go to look for more about these topics. So feel free. We want you to come to us for the feel good. And that's where we like to be. We want to be in the feel good, the inspirational, right? And that's why we're doing what we're doing. And so let me, start out with these solutions. One of the solutions that's going to fix a lot of these problems, a lot of these things, and allow us to disconnect from the control. I'm pointing to my list over here, the control that these tyrants are trying to exert over us. And in my opinion, at the moment, what I can honestly say, my feeling is that what is going to help us the most is to be financially free from the boot of these tyrants. And what is the best way to do that? Let me read here in my declaration booklet here. Let's see, it says Article 1, Section 10, no state, ... shall enter into any treaty or make anything but gold and silver coin as tender in payments of debts. So that's right there in the Constitution there. And I think that's a good starting point, is that only gold and silver are money. Everything else is credit. And I can't remember who said that, but it was, and I should remember off the top of my head, but if you Google that, I'm sure it'll pop up. Gold and silver are money, everything else is credit. And even especially looking at our dollar bill, right? I mean, you look at, I have my wallet handy, but you open it up and it says Federal Reserve note on that bill, right? What is a note? It is a debt instrument. So those dollars that we hold are not only just fiat, created out of thin air and by decree, but they represent the absolute opposite. They represent an obligation. They represent debt. They're owed back to the Federal Reserve with interest. And if you watch Mike Maloney and his, I forget the title, The Secrets of Money, his videos, they're fantastic. He'll teach you all about that. And of course, that's where I got a lot of my education, is that the interest that is owed back on these dollars doesn't even exist yet. It hasn't been printed. Wow. So this is a giant Ponzi scheme, and gold and silver are our way out of it, is our protection.
The whole central bank systems, all of them globally, worldwide, all banking is designed to do is to create wealth for bankers and hidden tax for governments. I've talked about this book so many times. The Creature from Jekyll Island really outlines the whole system and all the different schemes they've used every time a bank fails, how they bail it out and replace it. And they've worked and worked and worked to eliminate gold and silver from our daily lives, to eliminate real money and put us into a situation where there's no real money in our lives. And they forced us into being a pauper by their definition, which then gives them legal control over our lives. So as you said, it's not real money. It's not even it's not even in existence, because how it works is all the governments, all the companies, all the banks, they get these loans, and taxes is really how they recuperate their losses on the loans. And the loans are paid for by the interest. They're never paid back. It's just paid up. They're just paying interest. And then when they can't afford to pay the loan, they get a new loan, which then gets new interest. And when they can't keep up at all, they change the interest rates that they charge to the public and charge us the interest. And they change they cause inflation, which then gives them more money, takes our dollar from, like, say you're buying eggs for $2.50. Now you're buying eggs for $5. You're still getting the same amount of eggs, but how come all of a sudden the price went up? It's inflation. It's a hidden tax. And who does it benefit? It benefits the central banks. It benefits the governments who are managing and operating and working with those central banks. And let me be clear, those central banks are not government entities. It's part of their cabal to create power and wealth and control. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, as I kind of prefaced, when we started, is by having true wealth, real money, which is only gold and silver, we can lessen our effects of what these, and I keep overusing the word tyrants, but these elite want to subject us to. And by having that true wealth, and just to give you an idea, Scott, you had touched on it. The dollar has been disconnected from gold and silver. Back in 1933, the government basically declared it illegal for the citizens to hold gold, and said, turn it in and we'll pay you for it. I think it was $32 an ounce.
Wow.
You can call it a confiscation, but it wasn't truly confiscation. You would be held, you would be a criminal if you would have kept your gold, which most people actually did. Most people kept their gold, did not turn it into the government, but they took that gold that they received, and they immediately revalued it to $42 an ounce. So they stole that much wealth directly from the people.
Immediate inflation.
Immediate inflation right there. But I mean, it also, like you said, Scott, with the book Creature of Jekyll Island, started with the Federal Reserve in 1913. So I mean, it's a long story. We don't have time for it all, but that is kind of the when and the how. But the why is, where I always like to get to. Why gold and silver? Why is it so important? Why am I so in love with this topic, right? Why is this my passion? Because I've spent, I guess, a good 7 years or so kind of deep diving into this topic and really learning, the history of gold, the history of money. And again, Mike Maloney is a great place to go to, so we won't get into all those kind of details. But, and where should we go from here, Paris? I know you and I we're all gold bugs here. We're all silver bugs.
We're just getting into gold backs. I'm not at liberty to jump into those yet, and I really don't understand them that well. To me, they look flimsy and a little bit worrisome, whether I want to use it or not. I like the tangible 100% gold and silver. Like these ones are the collectible ones, but to me, it's not really any more value than regular gold and silver. Spot gold and silver prices is what, to me, maintains its value and has for years and decades and centuries. You go all the way back to Rome, and how much did it cost in Rome at the height of society to get an outfit?
About an ounce of gold.
An ounce of silver, actually. An ounce of gold could buy you a chariot and a horse.
Wow. An
ounce of silver could get you a brand new top of the line toga and sandals and sash.
Well, all through history, all the way back to times of Christ and before then, and the Romans, basically the daily pay for a soldier for many of the trades was 1/10 of an ounce per day. So
of silver, right?
Of silver, yeah, 1/10 of an ounce of silver per day. Oh. And so that's how the kings and warlords would go to war. They would plunder all the gold and silver and be able to hire their armies. You're going to say something, Scott?
Yeah, I just realized, I was like, you were right. It is gold, not an ounce of silver. To get a chariot and a horse was 50 ounces of gold.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
That's all. And now it's like, you can't even, like, it's crazy. Like it's crazy.
Wow.
Well, try to get a truck for 50 ounces of gold.
Yeah. Well, check this out.
You can't do that at the dealership. That's for sure.
No,
they won't do it.
There might be someone you could
and work your way into it. But yeah,
there might be something you could barter with. But all through history, there were kings that some kings that had less than 1,000 ounces of silver.